やろうかの
ええ、任せて。
歌わなきゃ。シャンクス、昔言ってくれたでしょ。私の歌にはみんなを幸せにする力があるって。戦いはもうおしまいにして。
What's going on, my broskies? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today we're doing a showcase for a character that's actually a little bit older, but with the brand newly released super evolution of the character. And this is a character that I've been waiting for a while, since the end of the Film Red celebration when we first got that notification, and they were like, hey, we kind of messed up a little bit. Here's a new super evolution for Uta, but it's gonna come later. And this is a perfect time to release it, I feel, just to add to the hype of the New Year's celebration events. So, for those of you who were not really aware of the drama that occurred, essentially it boiled down to the 6 plus of Uta, referring to the Demon King Uta, technically speaking, is not Uta, and a lot of the Japanese community were very upset at that. And then in response to the outrage, really, of the Japanese community, they decided to put out the notice about a new super evolution for Uta and the update to Demon King Uta, which is going to feature more of the character itself of Uta, with Demon King as the same character for that super evolution. And of course, they've made the adjusted changes, and now we have a brand new Uta, which, in my opinion, this new Uta is the true super evolution of the base Uta. So let's go ahead and break down what she's all about. So she is a quick cerebral shooter, from the original Uta being Int, cerebral striker, and then obviously Demon King being a little bit different, being Int, driven powerhouse. But this character, with their captain ability, is it's essentially like a buffed version of the original Uta, where it gives her own special cooldown -3, but then the rest of the crew gets -1. So that's a nice update from the previous version, where before it was only just -4 to herself. So I like the fact that there is a bit of additional cooldown given to the rest of the crew. Additionally, she's going to boost quick cerebral and shooter characters' attack by 5 times, make their tandem slots matching, and reduce 10 turns of paralysis and special reverse on the crew. Just a fantastic captain ability across the board. A 5 times multiplier, I mean, especially when you compare it to a lot of the other recently released characters, 5 times multiplier is actually a little bit on the lower end. However, it says that for the next 5 turns after launching her special, she becomes a 5.4 times captain instead. So, in all honesty, it's a fantastic captain. There's really not a lot wrong here. And obviously the main difference is the fact that it makes tandem slots matching to the crew, which is a pretty neat effect. And instead of boosting Int, Cerebral, and Striker, she's going to be boosting Quick, Cerebral, and Shooter instead. And it's just really cool that you have this one character that can super evolve into essentially 3 different forms to fit whatever scenario that you may be in. Obviously, it's going to be nice to have one of each Uta, so you don't have to continuously devolve and re-evolve the character. But when you have a character with max final tap, like I do in this scenario here, you probably want to be changing it so you get the best of both worlds, or the best of all 3 worlds, I suppose, when you've got 3 different forms of the character. So captain ability alone is very, very strong, and the obvious highlight here is the utility of removing 10 turns of paralysis and 10 turns of special reverse, and the fact that she can synergize so well with so many of the other powerful characters that have come out recently. Cerebral is one of the best classes in the game, and then of course, in her base form, she is, still a striker-focused character, and majority of the New Year's Legends that came out are striker characters, so good synergy with all of the New Year's Legends depending on what kind of form you want to be in. So obviously this character is widely considered to be one of the best legends in the game. When you use her as the captain, you're going to get access to that superclass special. Now this superclass activation requirement has actually slightly changed. Previously in the base form, all you needed to do was activate an attack and an orb boost on the crew for it to activate. Now that was easily achievable just by activating the special of Uta. Now they've changed it where you need one specific character on the crew, ranging from Luffy, Gordon, or one of the redhead pirates that are available currently in the game. Hopefully, if we end up getting future redhead pirate characters, like some of the other characters that were in Film Red that actually don't have representation in the game thus far, it would be nice if we got some updates for characters in the future that would do that. that would be nice. The actual effect is also slightly different as well, where now, upon initial activation of the superclass, it's going to buff any attack and orb boost that you have by 0.25, and then it will state that for the next 3 turns, any attack or orb boost from a special that is from a cerebral or a shooter character will be buffed also by 0.25. So previous to this, Uta would only apply that secondary effect. Now with the 6-star plus, she will apply a buff already if there is an already existing attack and orb boosting effect, which is pretty neat. And then of course your cerebral characters will turn into super cerebral. Now one of the big changes here that is not present in the 6-star plus form that was present in the base form of Uta, the striker Uta, is that her superclass special would actually provide a bit of healing. I believe it was a 20 or a 30% HP recovery to the crew. She no longer does that, so that's a little unfortunate that they decided to drop that. They, instead of, having a bit of heal, they added the 0.25 on initial activation. So, in all honesty, I actually kind of prefer the base Uta's superclass because the condition was easier to achieve, and the actual effect I think is slightly better. I think I actually do prefer the healing over the 0.25 increase on initial activation, but of course, depending on the situation, you could definitely, get a lot of advantage out of this superclass special no matter what, but the fact that you're kind of shoehorned into running very certain characters for the activation requirement of the superclass definitely hurts in the long run, I feel. And then of course we can't really go past talking about her special, which is one of the massive highlights of this character. So the actual effect itself is very, very similar to the base version of Uta. Upon initial activation you get a new buff, which as we all know, the Uta buff, the turn progress activated effect, a very, very long name for exactly what it is. But the effect will state that at the start of each turn, you're going to be receiving an attack boost and an orb boost for your cerebral and shooter characters. Unfortunately, doesn't provide a buff to the color that she boosts, it's only the classes, very similar to base Uta and also Demon King Uta, where these buffs were only applied to the classes and not the color, which is a little unfortunate, but still. The effect that you get is very strong, getting a 2.5 attack boost and a 2.25 times orb boost to cerebral and shooter on turn 1. On turn 2, each of the buffs are buffed by 0.25, going to 2.75 times attack and a 2.5 times slot effect boost. And then the third activation of the special on the third turn will give you a 3 times attack and a 2.75 times slot effect boost to cerebral and shooter characters. And then it does also state that if the enemy completely removes your beneficial effect, so removing the turn progress activated effect, then for 1 turn you get an attack and a slot effect boost of 2.5 to cerebral and shooter. So even during turns where the enemy removed your massive beneficial effect, you're still going to get a massive effect out of it. So that's obviously one of the big highlights of the character, having such a powerful captain that can resist amazing debuffs and boost really good classes. Her special, no matter what, even if the enemy removes your beneficial effects, you're still going to benefit out of it, which is fantastic. And also the fact that this turn progress activated effect does not trigger enemy interrupts that, interrupt an attack or an orb boosting effect, because the actual attack and orb boost become active on the crew due to the actual buff itself. It's very complex, but it's a very unique buff and it's a very strong buff. And then of course, if you end up running double Uta on your team for whatever reason, and you already have a turn progress activated effect when you launch her special, then instead of getting all of the buffs which you already have, instead it's going to give you a full board of tandem slots that go through block slots, lock your slots for 2 turns, and also get you a 1.2 times chain multiplicative buff for 3 turns. So I really like this change to the unit. Previously in base Uta, if you already had turn progress activated effect, instead of getting this effect, you would actually get a full board of int slots, and I don't remember if she locked them or not. But instead of a chain multiplicative boost, it was a chain multiplier buff, a chain additive buff. So this is obviously a lot different, and it means that this character has fantastic synergy with Super Tandem Shanks, Usopp Yasop, Ben Beckman Lucky Roo. So I can understand the design philosophy of this character. Now she works and synergizes perfectly with the rest of the Film Red Sugo Fest exclusive characters. So I honestly do like the special changes here, and it is slightly different in the fact that instead of it's a striker focused character, character like the base Uta, this one is boosting shooters. So overall, shooters got massive W's with the recent celebrations with the Film Red celebration, the new Boa Hancock that came out during the Kizuna, and then this brand new Uta who also boosts shooter characters, and also the level limit break of V2 Lucci, which also came out recently too. So shooters are looking on up recently with their recent additions to the game, which is awesome to see. If you're able to activate it, you can also get access to her final tap. Now, her final tap condition is also slightly altered, where now when you reach the final stage to activate the final tap, you need to have one of the characters on your crew in order to activate this effect in general, which is the exact same characters that you need for her superclass special, being Luffy, Gordon, or one of the redhead pirates. And the effect is also the same as base Uta, where you get a guaranteed matching slot, and then multiplies the chain of the final tap by 2.25. So again, you know, if you've got like a 5 times chain multiplier, when you activate the final tap, that chain is multiplied by 2.2. So, you know, it goes upwards of like an 11 times chain multiplier. It can get pretty crazy pretty quickly if you have the right characters equipped, of course. But the requirement needing to have one of those characters on the crew in order to activate it is kind of annoying, but you know, I can definitely see this character seeing a lot of play in like a Super Boss Kizuna, for example, being able to activate it on turn 1, get the final effect on the final stage, and then of course the fact that you can synergize this character with Uta, and obviously it's Uta, but with like the Shanks, the Beckman Lucky Roo, Usopp and Yasop, you can synergize it with the new Nico Robin as well. So there is a lot of beneficial effects that you can do with this Uta, kind of some really cool things you can do with her. She can output a lot of damage really quickly, and has a really powerful special, as we've already touched up on, the fact that it can just kind of get around a lot of enemy gimmicks, and the fact that you can have this effect that can last for so long, because whenever you move on to a new stage, it doesn't actually remove the buff. You know, the buff, the turn progress activated effect from Uta will only trigger on attacking turns. So whenever you move into a new stage, like hypothetically, you know, you need like a 3-turn buff usually to carry a buff into the next stage, because you end the turn on one stage, you've got an enemy preemptive, and then you have your attacking turn. But with Uta, it doesn't matter. You get 3 guaranteed turns of it because of the way that the turn progress activated effect actually works. So overall, just, I love this character. This character is just so freaking strong. And then of course, with each of the forms of Uta, the support effect is slightly different in terms of which characters that she can support. The actual support will attach to any quick cerebral, which there are a lot of quick cerebrals, and anytime you activate the special of the unit, it boosts cerebral characters' attack and orbs by 1.5 for 1 turn. You don't need to be a genius to figure out this is a very good support and is definitely going to see play. So no matter what, yeah, this character is going to have a fantastic support that's going to see a lot of play in a lot of different scenarios. And quick cerebral, just attaching to so many good units too. So overall, there isn't really too much in this unit that I would consider to be annoying or bad or poorly designed. This is a really well-rounded character, and when you look at this character in a bit of perspective, right, in the fact that this character can be Cerebral Striker form, Driven Powerhouse form, especially very good in Rumble, the Demon King Uta is, and then you have this other form being Cerebral Shooter. Just as a package deal, this is one of the best legends in the game, and in my personal opinion, this character is better than all of the New Year's legends. Some people may disagree with that, and that's completely fine, but I do think this character is just still one of the top 5 best legends in the game. This character is so wicked, and cannot wait to continue to use this character in the future. But that's going to be it from me. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about the new version of Uta down below in the comment section. Really hope you guys enjoyed this one, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.
みんなを元に戻してあげないと。戦いはもうおしまいにして。 戦いはもうおしまいにして。なんだ、あんたも寂しかったんだね。